people belong to a bigger conspiracy. I mean, the most obvious place to find them is, for example, in the oil and arms industry. But it's also the pharmaceutical industry. It's also the food industry. We're putting additives in our food. I mean, I saw the Jamie Oliver thing recently where he looked at school dinners and kids were eating these turkey twizzlers. And he had the revolutionary idea of giving them real food, and teachers suddenly found that kids could concentrate a lot. I mean, it's just unbelievable what's going on at all levels as if they're attacking us. But I think what comes out of all of this is a test, basically. We've been given a gift in many ways. We should not get upset by 9/11. The implications of it are enormous. I understand that some people have difficulty going there, because it is frightening. I think people who have been told to trust for so long in our lives are in effect the enemy, and in fact killed 3,000 people in cold blood. And to put that in perspective, by the way, the 3,000, that is nearly as many people who were killed in the entire modern conflict in Northern Ireland with one attack. So that gives you an idea of the scale of what happened on 9/11. But these, you have to go through a kind of mental Rubicon to cross that, to accept that people you once thought were friends were enemies. Some people don't want to go there. But as I say, it's very, very easy to expose 9/11. Even though we don't have the organs of change in society on our side, the mainstream media miss these things out. When Steve Jones came out with this paper, I was absolutely amazed this wasn't the front page headline of every newspaper in the world, given the scale of 9/11. And yet it has not been covered in one mainstream publication. Similarly with 7/7, another issue like this. The official story has always said that the 4 men called the 740 train. Well, we actually did what the mainstream media is supposed to do. We went and checked the facts with Network Rail. And we realised that the 740 train was cancelled that day. The one that left just after 740, at 7:42, didn't get in before 8:26, so it wouldn't have given them time to get to London and be photographed at Thameslink. Now, the official report, people should know this because people from the 7/7 movement wrote to journalists, wrote to MPs about this. But the official report still blindly says that the men caught the 740 train. Now, obviously, there's a possibility they could have caught another train. But the very fact that the official report, despite people being warned, still include a false time, because that's what the intelligence services are saying, even though it contradicts the information given out by Network Rail, again, just shows that the official inquiries are not checking anything on our behalf. They're taking all the stuff on trust. It's not like the old days either. You know, the old days when the intelligence services worked in secret, never had a blasted clue what they were doing. You could all say, hang on, our bosses, everybody's doing a very good job. But we know now that we saw the weapons of mass destruction dossier, in which it wasn't just that the assessments were wrong, or some of the intelligence was slightly wrong. None of the up-to-date intelligence was right. It was all wrong. The assessments were exaggerated. And Iraq is a Category 1 Joint Intelligence Committee target. That is right at the top. So the intelligence services cannot recruit agents in Iraq to provide reliable intelligence on what is seen as one of the key threats to the world at that age. We've got to realise that these people simply cannot do their jobs. And yet at the beginning of the report into 7/7, you wouldn't have believed that happened. It's still all of intelligence services wonderful. But they're not. I saw it with my own eyes. And this is why I'm here. This is now my job, basically. Is that we can talk about all these things, we can do all this research. But I know this stuff happens because I was there and I've witnessed it. And I've seen what happens as well when you try and raise it. How they will never take the evidence. But the point is, as I say, it's given us this opportunity to stop all of this, to change it. It's not that difficult, really. We now have an era in which we can control the visual image. Now, up until the age of digital, television was controlled by big companies, or the BBC. Nobody else could afford to produce documentaries. Yet now, sitting there within the editing suites, in a chutzpah and a talent, we are producing our own documentaries. In fact, we've got one of the 7/7 premiering in Bristol on the 2nd of July. We've also provided our own 9/11 documentaries that will be released shortly after. So we're taking this on. So people say, what do we need to do? Do the obvious. Write to your MP. Write to people in the media. But also, just show the DVD to your friends. Because anybody who is fair-minded and wants to assess the evidence will certainly come to the conclusion that there needs to be an inquiry. And it really is that simple. It's as simple about getting people to think differently. keeps me going with all of this, and should really motivate everybody. It's said by Edmund Burke, who was actually a defender of the Constitution of Britain, our great unwritten Constitution. And he said, all that is necessary for the triumph of evil is for good people to do nothing. Thank you.
Yeah, 15 or 20-minute break, get some tea and go for a wee or whatever, stretch your legs, and then we'll come back together again for about 40 minutes of questions and answers. Thank you.
Just while everyone's getting their seats, so we've just run through some other events that we've got lined up with the 9/11 Truth Hotness group. The first event is actually not directly related, but any of you who've seen any of my presentations on 9/11 and 7/7, some of the connectivity with more esoteric aspects, may be interested in a presentation going on Tuesday evening in Skoroton, where Jeff Stray, who is the author of Beyond 2012, Catastrophe or Ecstasy, will be giving a presentation. Jeff is probably this country's primary exponent on the Mayan calendar, and he spent 20 years collating prophecies from all around the world which point to this particular juncture in time.